I want to bring in NBC's Claudio Lavagna at the Vatican. Deborah Lubov is an MSNBC Vatican analyst. Father Timothy Kasecki is president of the Jewish Conference of Canada and the U.S. So, Claudio, we've been at conclaves together. I remember the intensity and the anticipation. What's the feeling there right now?
Hey, Chris. Well, this is my third conclave, and I can tell you that it always just sends shivers down my spine because you are watching a centuries-old tradition unfold. The election also of perhaps one of the biggest and most powerful leaders in the world, the leader of 1.4 billion Catholics. And this tradition just keeps unfolding exactly in the same way by the minute. But it's also so colorful, so touching, so incredible to watch every single time. And it's just happened right behind us with St. Peter's Square that you can probably see in the distance. There were hundreds of people watching the procession into the Sistine Chapel and the cardinals swearing an oath on maxi screens. And when that ended, and then where those closers of the Sistine Chapel were closing, there was this big round of applause. So people here are starting to feel it, are starting to feel that something very important and something historic is happening. And of course, all eyes from tonight on will be on that chimney that I can see from here. It's probably too in the distance for you, but it's the chimney on the Sistine Chapel waiting for that first smoke. We'll see whether it's white tonight. I mean, in recent history, it's never been white on the first ballot, but who knows, you know?
Yeah, they're getting the feel of the place, but you never know. Anybody who predicts what's going to happen in a conclave is maybe a little bit of a fool's errand. Deborah, from 12 years ago, when we had a conclave before, a lot has changed technologically. The world is more interconnected than ever before. Certainly, social media has been blowing up. I saw on one blog today someone saying, "Is there a service I can sign up for so that if it happens in the middle of night, it wakes me up?" There clearly is international interest in this. This is a global church. Are you seeing the internationality of this, not just in the media, but in the folks who are down there on St. Peter's Square?
Well, certainly it is undeniable that there has been an incredible presence from different continents throughout the Vatican. It's also true that it's still the Easter season. It is one of the busiest times in the Vatican. It's also the Jubilee year. All of this coincided with Pope Francis's death and coincides with this conclave, this historic conclave. But anyone you speak to, they're all very moved to be here at this moment, whether or not they had come out for the conclave itself or if they're here to be part of it regardless.
Yeah, great history being made. Father, Francis was the first Jesuit pope. I think I might have said Jewish, which would be a shocker if you were head of a Jewish organization. But and I apologize for that, but he has appointed the most geographically diverse College of Cardinals we have ever seen, many of them getting together for the first time over this last week or so. One Vatican watcher said it was kind of like speed dating. You know, you're trying to talk to everybody. You're trying to see where everybody stands. Do we have a sense of how that works? I mean, some people say, look, that's great. Like, it really helps to sort of bridge some divides. Or I've heard from other people saying, actually, I've had to take some people off the list, add some other people potentially to the list, because now I'm hearing about so many different possible people. What's your sense of where this is right now as they make this first vote?
Well, it's true. Of the 133 electors who are present in the conclave, Pope Francis appointed 108 of them. But there's a certain mystery to it because, as you noted, a lot of them do not know each other. And they're not only getting to know each other, but for many of them, this is the first time they've ever been to a conclave. So, it's not like an election, and there is an election, but it's not like an election where there's polling and canvassing and there's some indicators. Really, we know nothing of what those electors are really thinking and praying about. We're only going to find that when we see the outcome of their vote.
Yeah, one of the curiosities is, if I can make a comparison, which is a bad comparison, Deborah, to the U.S. election, a lot of people, after all of the attention on it, were shocked to hear some people saying, I'll go in and I'll make up my mind when I'm actually in the ballot box, you know, when I'm in the voting booth. Is there a sense that at least for this first vote, most of the cardinals pretty much know where they're going by the time they walk into the Sistine Chapel?
Oh, that's anyone's guess. I think that a lot of people know what issues are important to them. So each of these cardinals in their mind have been praying about who they think should be the next successor of Peter. And they may not know who that individual is. And that's why it has been so important that they've had this quality time in order to get to know each other, because otherwise it's hard for them to know which way the Holy Spirit is leading them. But they're depending on exactly that.
Yeah, the New York Times was talking about how the cardinals discussed everything from war to sexual abuse. I'm sure the finances, Claudio, of the Vatican are also a big topic. Quietly maybe holding some spin sessions. Other people have called it dinner table lobbying. They get together. Many of them have, the American cardinals have been over at the North American College. Some of them have already been over at Casa Santa Marta. What is the buzz that you're hearing going into this conclave? How wide open is it?
Well, certainly they're not just looking for a pastor, they're also looking for an administrator. As you mentioned, the Catholic Church is going through a financial crisis, so they will need someone who just needs to put that back in order. They had, as Deborah was saying, they haven't really met each other before they arrived here for the funeral of Pope Francis and for the days following that, but they had 9 days to not only know each other and get together at dinners and lunches, but also during especially the general congregations. There were these meetings that took place every single day where each cardinal had the opportunity to talk, to address, to say who they're looking for in the next pope. Not names, just who they think, what subjects, what themes, what's his personality, what are his ideas. So they had time to know each other, and if we see black smoke tonight, as we expect, because historically that's what's happened, unless we have surprises, they still get a chance tonight to meet over dinner, because it's all secretive, but not for them. They will just get together in the Domus Santa Marta, that is the guest house inside the Vatican, where also Pope Francis decided to reside. They're all sleeping there, and also in a next door building, but they can all eat together. So once the first vote is done, they can start, looking at numbers and see who is getting the most votes, and maybe if one cardinal got 1 or 2 votes, maybe those 2 votes are going to go to someone else who has more votes and who may be similar to that cardinal they voted for, so they get more chances to get their men through. So you see, this is a lot of politics, but also at the same time, as I mentioned earlier, they're not just looking for a next Pope Francis. They're looking for perhaps continuity, because that's possible, because obviously 80% of the cardinals who are voting were appointed by Pope Francis, but also they're looking for an administrator, someone who can perhaps fix the financial scandal or the financial problems that is going through, Chris.
Yeah, so an easy job, in other words, just, 1 or 2 things that you have to worry about. Father, there's also the question of first. We mentioned that Pope Francis was the first Jesuit pope. We could see the first Asian pope. We could see the first pope from Africa, the first from America. All of those things are in conversations out there. At the same time, when they took that oath, they swore to avoid secular politics per se. Do you think geography, and by that I mean particularly looking at where the church is growing as opposed to, say, Europe, where the church is not, will and should play a role in their decision?
Yeah, I appreciate that distinction, that they're not supposed to take secular politics into account. But I would maybe fine-tune that a bit and say that they're not supposed to take constitutive politics. So they're not there exclusively to represent their part of the world, but they come from that part of the world. And as you noted, this is the highest percentage of non-European cardinals in the history of the church. It's also the largest conclave by far in the history of the church, more than double the number of cardinals from 100 years ago. So they're going to think about that growth of the church in what we often call the global south, and that is going to influence their vote. The other thing I like to reflect on is that the secrecy in the conclave is not cloak and dagger. You know, it's not something of a Dan Brown novel. The secrecy is so that every elector recognizes that he's listening to God and the Holy Spirit, and so that's also a part of where does God see the future of the church. And I think that they are going to look at the global south where the church is growing the fastest.
Just imagine anybody out there not having your phone. One cardinal said, "How am I going to wake up? I use my phone as my alarm clock." I'm sure that they've figured that out in the meantime, something a little less high tech. Claudio Lavagna, Deborah Lubov, I hope you have your sleeping bags with you. Father Timothy Kasecki, thank you so much for being with us.